in this brief video, I just want to posit the potential for an argument that it seems like AI is making people super lazy. And I mean that not AI is enabling people to be super lazy, but is culturally shifting behaviors. And by AI, I of course mean the dominant LLM meaning of it. And I think you can see this in two specific ways, one of which is very potent in the Silicon Valley world, and that is through the sort of standard company announcements or company processes that would once be very polished to a certain extent that are now kind of low quality. And so you can see not just websites, but when companies raise a bunch of money, right? They'll raise millions or billions of dollars, and then they basically put out a website that says, this is all the money we got, this is who invested in us, and this is why, and what we're going to do with it. And often there's plots of whatever metrics matter, usage or users or revenue or whatever is relevant for their particular business. But I was looking at some of these announcements or press releases on these company websites, right? And they have a lot of money. They're telling us that they have literally hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in their bank account. And they have like matplotlib plots, which are fine, but there will literally be text, just like unreadable text, because it's overlapping with like lines. And if you just shifted the text to not overlap the lines, then it would be readable. And this is obviously like extremely trivial things. This is trivial to do if you weren't, generating the plots with LLMs, but also if you are generating the plots with LLMs, you could just type into the prompt window, the text overlaps with the line, move it to the left. But no, that is not the case. That does not happen. And it's very, you might say, like, how do you know it's AI generated? Of course, anyone who sees even a little bit of LLM outputs is, you can recognize very quickly the sort of default mode of these models. Of course, because I cannot prove this, I'm not going to be sharing any of the, I'm not trying to attack any specific company or something. So I will let you peruse the recent announcements, and you can, I'm sure you will be able to find this very quickly. And so this sort of standard, right, would not be acceptable 6 years ago. That's or 10 years ago or something, right? Like that's I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. And it seems like this is a result of basically, people accept lower quality things now and are fine producing lower quality things. And it's such an extreme level of laziness, right? Like it's literally just like prompting one more thing, right? It's going from, typing into the LLM, plot this data and it generates some plot. And then you look at the plot and then you update and you say like, okay, fix this line. But there's not even the update stage, right? Like people don't even seem to be reading it. The same people that are publishing it. And you can see it like even on whole websites, right? There was a company that recently raised more than $1 billion, which is quite a fair amount of money. And it literally, on the website that you go to, it is the most obvious like default Claude mode website. So it's very, it's not a very good website. It's not a very appealing website, and it's not a very optimized website. It's super laggy, and all of these things, right? Like, I'm not arguing are necessarily a result of LLM usage, right? Like, I'm sure they could just prompt the LLM and say, this website is super laggy. Can you optimize it? And I'm sure there are optimizations that could be done pretty easily, but it's like, that's not even being bothered to be done. And so, there's a counter argument here that actually they're not just producing low quality slop and calling it a day because, it's exceedingly acceptable to be extremely lazy, but rather because they know nobody reads anything anymore, and the internet is just an empty cage of bots and people who like to interact with bots. And maybe that's true. That feels like a very pessimistic answer to the question that these companies are putting out there, but it's certainly possible. But another example that's less related to the internet of bots is you see with coding specifically, right? You can see the specific patterns in LLM coding tool usage where people use them for a variety of things, and at things more fine-grained than the vibe coding level, right? Where if you're coding something in production, and so you kind of have to at least look at the code a little. Then people, in order to solve a task, will, rather than if it's a simple task, right, like find and replace something, you could do that in, for example, VS Code with like 2 clicks and one word type, and then you can find and replace. But instead of that, people are typing into the LLM harness, right, and saying, find all of X and replace it with Y, and then it takes 30 seconds and 1,000 tokens, and then it does, it finds and replaces. But that was slower and more expensive. Granted, obviously the employee is not paying for the tokens usually, but even in cases where there's some task to be accomplished and it could be done better, in terms of the end result, or it could be done more efficiently, faster, less cost, less typing, less time, all of the above. When given the choice to do that with an LLM, people often just choose that. And part of it, again, the argument could be made that this is not changing behavior, this is just enabling it, right? People given the option, right, of doing some work or doing nothing while you scroll Instagram Reels for 1 minute and 30 seconds, then hitting the 1 button on your keyboard, will probably always choose the latter. But what's changed is that that used to be sort of, you could always just submit whatever code, right? But now everyone else is kind of okay with that, or maybe not okay with it, but that is not going to violate the social fabric of development right now. And so, maybe because everyone is just plugging stuff into an LLM and no one's reading or caring about anything, why would you spend any effort on something that no one else is going to read or care about? So maybe there it is the rational response to an environment in which all parties are disinterested in the product and just shoveling sort of slop into the abyss. But it is very interesting to notice, at least. So I don't know if this is real or rational, but this is just something I'm noticing, and I think it fits. I'm piecing together the puzzle of sort of how the modern world is evolving, and this is just one part of it. But I think I'll probably have a more nuanced and thoughtful approach to what this means and what the implications are beyond this little rant that I'm making. But I also did write this up. I'm trying new things, as you can tell from the format of this video, but I wrote this up in a little blog as well. So yeah, we'll see.